Join us right now, somebody we call on at times like this, Milwaukee County Sheriff David Clarke. Good morning to you, Sheriff.
Good morning.
When you've looked at the video of, in particular, that one shooter, he's down on the street level and he's hiding behind a column and he executes a police officer in cold blood. You're an expert. As you analyze that, what can you tell about that person who's doing the shooting?
Well, I don't know what can you say? I mean, this is horror, just beyond belief for the American law enforcement officer. I want to know, though, have we heard from the cop hater-in-chief, Obama, yet on this? Have we heard from Mrs. Bill Clinton, who threw up the hashtag Black Lives Matter yesterday? They exploited a situation, two situations, one in Louisiana, one in Minnesota. Horrible situations, no doubt. But again, you know, especially the commander-in-chief opens his mouth and he sticks his foot in it. He starts exploiting things that just don't exist. He has no evidence or data or research to support any disparate treatment by the American police officer, and that's the thing I'm talking about. This is the stuff, he didn't cause this, but you know what? He fuels this sort of anger, this misplaced anger about things going on that were thousands of miles away. This stuff didn't happen anywhere near Dallas. I don't even know why they're...
This hits close to home for you. What are the emotions that you feel waking up this morning, and where are we at in society? Are we experiencing a war on cops?
Yeah, thanks. You know, I said that now going on almost 2 years ago that war had been declared on the American police officer. Probably said it on your program after the two of New York's finest were gunned down in their cruiser by an individual who claimed to be making amends for Mike Brown in Ferguson, Missouri. Some people thought that that was a little over the top when I said war had been declared. War had been declared, but the American police officer knows it has. This is just another ugly chapter in that war.
David, you're obviously looking at, as the sheriff of Milwaukee County, you're looking at these types of situations, a coordinated attack, clearly. Waiting on some sort of mass gathering, you know, coordinated, waiting on a mass gathering of individuals, waiting to gun down police. How can you prepare for something like that? And do you think that we're going to see more of these types of attacks?
Well, I would hope not, but you can't prepare for an ambush like that. We've seen law enforcement officers ambushed. One happened not too long ago in Houston. We was just filling up his cruiser with gasoline, and then, like I said, the ones in NYPD. And those aren't the only three, but you can't prepare for that ambush. I mean, we understand the dangers inherent in this sort of work, but when somebody's going to set you up to ambush you, there's really not much you can do.
Sure. You mentioned the President of the United States. We did carry his comments live from Europe about 2.5 hours ago. He did say it was too early. We don't know all the facts, but he did mention, he talked about...
That's interesting.
He did mention when people are armed with powerful weapons, which clearly is a political component that he tried to inject into it. Let me ask you this. What does it say, though, given the fact that one of the fella who was cornered and shot himself rather than be taken alive said the end is coming and he's going to try to hurt as many cops as he possibly can?
I don't know what you say to some stupid comment like that. He probably did society a benefit by ending it the way that he did. But going back to President Obama, it's kind of interesting that he said the facts aren't in. He usually is popping off at the mouth before he's been briefed or before he knows any of the facts. You know, like he did yesterday without any foundation. He talked about racism and disparate treatment and people of color, all this nonsense. Like I said, he's armed with powerful words, and he uses those words irresponsibly. It fuels this sort of anger toward the American police officer, and I wish he'd knock it off.
We have other black leaders like Reverend Jesse Jackson overnight, right after these attacks, on a London radio show saying that Donald Trump and the rise of ultra-conservative groups are to blame for this rhetoric in this country and the violence that we're seeing. What do you say to Reverend Jackson this morning?
I say nothing to Reverend Jackson. Reverend Jackson's another one of these blowhards whose time has passed and he's still trying to stay relevant, and so he talks like that. But I'll tell you right now, nobody in the country that's running for president right now, and there's only two people left, has stood behind and beside the American law enforcement officer like Donald Trump. I cannot wait till January 20th, I believe, 2017, when President Obama leaves the White House for the last time. And my hope, I pray, that Donald J. Trump becomes the next commander-in-chief, because we need a president who's going to stand beside us and support us all across the country, unambiguously, by the way, and we know we're not going to get that out of Mrs. Bill Clinton. I think the saddest day for law enforcement will be if she were to become the president of the United States.
Sheriff, you mentioned Donald Trump. He did send out a tweet in this past hour. It reads, "Prayers and condolences to all of the families who are so thoroughly devastated by the horrors we are all watching take place in our country."
That's what I'm talking about. Yesterday, what we got from President Obama was, and this is, you know, there's some aspects, this is the right thing to do. He said, "My thoughts and prayers are with the families of the two people who were caught in those tragic situations in Louisiana and Minnesota." But he says nothing today. He's waiting for facts to emerge. He says nothing about condolences, and he won't visit or call any of those families either.
Yeah, well, it's an emotional day. Sheriff Clarke, thanks for being with us.
Thanks, Sheriff.
You're very welcome.